Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with the Spain news update. And the transport strike here in Spain, which started last Monday, is worsening as the days go by. But more about that in just a moment. Firstly, a big thanks to all of the people that left comments on the last video. Lots of comments, lots of debate happening there as usual. Thanks to people that supported the channel through a donation or by buying me a beer or a coffee. Many thanks for that. Thanks to people that bought merchandise, and a big thanks to my patrons on Patreon for your continuing support. Now, let's get into the news. And as I said, the transport strike here in Spain getting worse as the days go by. And according to some newspapers here, the situation is starting to overwhelm the government. As we can see here in this article from El Mundo, transport strike overwhelms government and threatens country's supply chain. For 4 days, pickets in favour of the transport strike have overwhelmed the government with the blockade of the country's supply and consumption chain. The government has informed us that there have been more than 80 attacks per hour on hauliers and lorries that did not want to join the strike, a large distribution company told El Mundo. The Interior Ministry is not acting with the necessary forcefulness, protested various business associations in the consumer chain affected by the attacks on lorries, blockades in logistics centres, and accesses the factories and shopping centres. So the country's supply chain threatened by this strike, but the government not doing enough, according to various business associations. So why isn't the government doing enough to stop these protests? Well, as we can see from this headline, the government responds to social protests with police and blames the extreme right. With problems of shortages of basic products on some supermarket shelves, the government is deploying its narrative in the face of the protests and the transport strike, which it links to a radical minority with links to the far right, but is not speeding up urgent measures to calm things down. Concern is spreading, and the government is aware of the seriousness of a deep crisis due to high prices in a scenario unprecedented by the war in Ukraine. However, President Pedro Sánchez continues to refer to the European Council and rules out taking immediate measures before the Council of Ministers on the 29th of March. So there we go. That's the reason why the government is not acting, because they're blaming the protests on a small minority that belongs to the far right. Now, one scenario that could force the government's hand and make them lower fuel prices is a possible shortage of beer, because Brewers of Spain is warning of supply problems in shops and bars. Brewers of Spain has warned of serious incidents following the transport stoppage that have not only infringed on freedom of movement, but have also caused material damage. In addition, it refers to supply problems in both the Orcheca channel and in food shops. These events could have a major impact on the supply of this drink, both in the distribution channel and in catering establishments, said the organisation, which has warned that in large-scale consumption the blockage is notable, given that deliveries to the logistics platforms of supermarkets are being hindered. So will a shortage of beer here in Spain, the country's favourite drink, be the straw that breaks the camel's back and forces the government to act? Now, while the Spanish government is taking its time to act on this crisis, other European countries are speeding things up. And as we can see here, Spain lags behind EU countries in urgent measures to mitigate fuel price rises. Spain continues to wait and see, while a good number of European neighbours are stepping on the gas to try to contain the effects of the latest phase of the energy crisis, the plunge in petrol and diesel prices on the most affected sectors, and the purchasing power of households. Pedro Sánchez's government is waiting to see how Brussels breathes and what comes out of next week's vital summit of presidents and prime ministers, essential to guarantee the legal security of the measures to come. At the same time, it is trying to put together a political pact to ensure the passage of the measures, and with the economic and social agents, for the sake of the income pact promoted by the government, to design a package of measures with a maximum consensus. So the rest of Europe acting, trying to mitigate the rise in fuel prices, but Spain no, preferring to wait and see. And with press on both sides of the political spectrum starting to criticise the government, maybe it's time to act. Now, the government did announce a new plan yesterday when it comes to electricity prices, and along with Portugal, it proposed an EU cap of €180 per megawatt hour on energy prices. Spain and Portugal will propose limiting wholesale electricity prices to €180 per megawatt hour in the European Union to tackle a record-breaking surge in energy prices. Governments across Europe have scrambled to cushion the effect on consumers of gas prices that have rocketed amid concerns over supply disruptions after Russia, Europe's top gas supplier, invaded Ukraine. We are working on a European response to lower energy prices, Spanish Energy and Environment Minister Teresa Rivera told Onda Cero Radio on Thursday, adding that Spain would take its own measures if the EU did not reach an agreement at the next EU summit on March the 24th and 25th. So Spain and Portugal working on a joint plan to lower energy costs. A cap of €180 per megawatt hour that looks as though it will go ahead with or without Europe's approval. So will this be the solution to Spain's energy woes? Time will tell. Now let's have a look at some of the comments from previous videos. One here from Gaz. Thanks again, Stu. I think most countries are going to increase defence spending now. Has anyone seen any updates in the removal of masks indoors? Yeah, Gaz, thanks for the comment, and obviously related to a piece of news that we saw the other day that Spain is going to increase military spending up from 1.2% of GDP currently to 2% of GDP in the near future, and Prime Minister Sanchez obviously caving into pressure from NATO to increase that spending. As we know, this announcement and the fact that Spain has sent weapons to Ukraine has caused a new rift in the coalition government between the PSOE party and Podemos. And Podemos has even labelled its coalition partner the party of war. And when it comes to your question about the removal of the indoor mask mandate here in Spain, there are no updates. You still have to wear them indoors, even though the Prime Minister promised recently that this mandate would go away soon, but we're still waiting. One here from Janet. Thanks, Stuart. Public transport in Spain is very good, so it's definitely worth ditching the car if you can do without. Yeah, Janet, thanks for the comment, and thanks for adding to the conversation about whether or not it is necessary to have a car if you live in a city here in Spain. In my opinion, the majority of cities here have very good public transport systems, and you can get around easily and cheaply. And with other means of transport available nowadays, for example electric scooters, might be a good time to ditch the car. One here from Jose Antonio. So Greece is the country that spends the most on defence in relation to its GDP. Yeah, Jose Antonio, thanks for the comment, and yes, I believe that is the case. Greece is the country that spends the most on defence as a percentage of GDP. As we can see here, in 2021, the United States spent 3.52% of GDP on defence, the United Kingdom 2.29%, Germany 1.53%, France 2.01%, and Greece, yes, as we can see, 3.82%. So in percentage terms, they are on top. If we have a look at the other end of the scale, we can see Spain 1.02% of GDP on defence, and Luxembourg 0.57%. So Greece spending close to 4% of its GDP on defence, and Spain spending just over 1%. So not sure what the exact reason for that disparity is, but it could have something to do with the fact that Greece still has compulsory military service, whereas Spain got rid of its compulsory military service 22 years ago. That could be the main reason. One here from MDC. Hey Stu, do you have any idea where I can find fresh cream? I'm in Alicante. Tried Carrefour, El Campo and Mercadona. They only have UHT cream. Any clues? MDC, thanks for the comment, and unfortunately I can't help you out when it comes to finding fresh cream in this country. In fact, I've never seen fresh cream in supermarkets here, only the UHT variety. So what I'll do is open the question up to the viewers. Maybe somebody out there has found fresh cream in this country and not the UHT variety, but as I said, I've never seen it. So if you have found fresh cream here in Spain, let us know in the comment section below where you found it. One here from Nialio. I think €3 or €4 for a bottle of wine is sufficient. I tried a lot in that price range and found some good ones. Tempranillo is a poor grape unless it is a Reserva and expensive. Try Cabernet Sauvignon. Nialio, thanks for the comment and adding to the conversation that was started in yesterday's live stream about what you need to pay for a decent bottle of wine here in Spain. I said that in my opinion, for less than €6, €7, €8, €9 a bottle, difficult to get a decent drop of red wine in this country. But again, that's just in my opinion and according to my tastes, and I'm sure that if you have different tastes when it comes to red wine, you can find cheaper bottles around that €3, €4 mark as you mentioned in your comment. So again, we'll open it up to the viewers. How much do you pay for a decent bottle of red wine in this country? €3 or €4, or is it more like 6, 7, 8 or 9 or even more? Let us know. And finally, one here from DC's Odyssey. Thanks for your video today. It came just in time. Yeah, DC, thanks for the comment, and I see what you're trying to do there, a play on words, considering that we had a dust storm the other day. Just in time. Got it. And just on that note, I'll wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. Debate the video out as you normally do. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.